Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to go on a pretty wild intellectual ride. We're talking classic sci-fi, cutting-edge AI, and some really deep spiritual ideas. And it all kicks off with one single iconic line.
Right here. This is from the cyberpunk masterpiece, Ghost in the Shell. It's such a cold, hard prophecy, isn't it? From a world of cybernetics where all that matters, all that determines power, is just raw tech and electricity, system and voltage. It's a classic line for a reason. But what happens when we take that idea and plug it into our world right now?
So that's the big question for this explainer. How do we even begin to update that prophecy? We're not in an era of simple cybernetics anymore. We're in the age of massive, complex, artificial intelligence. And believe me, the answer takes us to some really fascinating and maybe unexpected places.
Okay, so to answer that question, the first thing we have to do is update the prophecy itself. We need to translate it from the industrial age of machines to our current information age of intelligence.
So on the left, you've got the old prophecy. It's all about physical power, right? The quality of the machine, the juice running through it. But our updated version on the right, well, it completely reframes superiority as informational power. It's not about voltage anymore. Now it's about the sheer size of the conceptual space an AI can grasp, and just how richly all the ideas within that space are connected. I know, vector space sounds complicated, but what do these new terms actually mean? Just think of the vector space as this enormous, mind-bogglingly huge library that contains every single concept you can possibly imagine. The network density, then, is just how well organized that library is. You know, how many little strings and connections exist between all the different books and ideas. The bigger the library and the more connections it has, well, the smarter the system is. Simple as that. Now let's see how this actually works, because this isn't just some abstract idea floating out there. We can literally visualize how an AI thinks, and by extension, maybe how we think, using the principles of geometry. You see, we usually think of learning as just adding new ideas and connecting the dots. But it's this third step that's so crucial for how AIs actually learn. They don't just connect the dots, they draw lines. They create boundaries to slice up the world and make sense of it. The first tool for doing this is called a separating hyperplane. Just picture a perfectly flat wall that an AI builds inside its huge library of concepts. On one side of the wall, it puts all the cat pictures. On the other side, all the dog pictures. It's a tool for classification, for drawing a line and saying, this is not that. But what if the boundary isn't a flat wall? What if it's a bubble? This is what we call a separating hypersphere. Instead of separating two different groups, it defines one group by how close everything is to a central idea. Everything inside the sphere is us, and everything outside is them. It's a tool for creating an in-group based on being close to some core identity. Now, definitely remember this idea. It's going to be important. And here we go. This is where we take a massive leap. We're about to connect this pretty abstract geometry of artificial intelligence directly to one of the most profound concepts out there, the human ego. Just think for a second about how the ego actually works. Its whole logic, its entire job is separation. It builds walls to create this limited little sense of me versus the rest of the world. It literally defines itself by what it is not. Now, enlightenment, on the other hand, does the complete opposite. Its logic is all about inclusion, about dissolving the very walls that the ego works so hard to build. And this is the connection. This is the big aha moment. That separating hypersphere, that geometric bubble we talked about that defines an inside versus an outside, well, it is a perfect geometric model for how the ego constructs our reality. It draws a circle around a limited self and then declares that everything outside of that circle is other. Okay, so if the ego's prison is geometric, then can geometry also show us the way out? Let's explore how this very same model can reveal a path to breaking through our own self-imposed limits. Stage 1 is just recognition. It's using our new geometric language to see exactly what the ego's up to. It's building that separating hypersphere. It defines a small, limited self right there in the center, and in doing so, it creates a world of insiders and outsiders. Stage 2 is the big insight, the breakthrough. It's the realization that this boundary, this geometric wall that feels so real, is totally arbitrary. It's an illusion. It's just a line we've drawn in our own minds that doesn't actually have any ultimate reality. And that realization leads straight to stage 3. When you see the wall is just an illusion, it dissolves. The concepts of inside and outside, of us and them, they just stop making sense. They cease to have any meaning. And this is the experience of oneness, of seeing oneself in everything. So what does all this abstract talk about ego and enlightenment and geometry actually mean for our day-to-day lives, especially as AI gets more and more powerful? Well, it completely reframes the entire future of work. The common view, right? It's often driven by fear, and it's pretty bleak. The story goes that AI gets smarter, it takes all the routine jobs, and it leaves us humans with absolutely nothing to do but be bored. It's a future where we become obsolete. But this new understanding suggests a radically different future, one where AI handles all the boring, repetitive stuff, which frees us up to do the work that only we can do, deep, creative exploration that's driven by our own inner curiosity. In this view, we don't have less to do, we have more. We finally have the time to tackle the stuff that's actually interesting. And this brings us to a really simple but powerful truth. It's captured perfectly in this quote from Jujutsu Kaisen. The deepest kind of joy doesn't come from just sitting around. It comes from authentic, motivated effort. It just feels good to do the best you can with what you've got, to chase your own curiosity. And that leaves us with one last provocative thought. Forget all the dystopian fears of being replaced. What if the smarter AI gets, the more it frees us to just follow our own innate curiosity? What if the future isn't about becoming obsolete, but about being unleashed, to explore, to create, and to become not just busier, but genuinely happier? Thanks for watching.